Hey everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. I hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to do a comparison between the 2025 Honda HRV and the all-new 2025 Acura ADX. This is a requested video. I'm sure a lot of you have wanted to see this. So let's dig in. I'll leave links down in the description of the video to Holmes Honda and to Or Acura, where I borrowed these two models from. Base pricing for each model: $25,400 for the HRV and $35,000 even for the ADX. And you may wonder about that roughly almost $10,000 difference between the two. There's a lot of things that many of you have asked about having available on the HRV that you will find on the ADX. Go through what you'll have as we work our way through the video. Both models basically the same size, but you can see that there are some big differences in the overall look and design. If you were going to say one looked more sporty than the other, which one would it be? Both are available with all-wheel drive, and obviously there are a lot of great features that both offer depending on your personal situation. Here on the front end, you'll find LED daytime running lights with the HRV. However, with the ADX, you'll find LED projector beam headlights, LED daytime running lights, and one that I know a lot of you like, LED fog lights, because so many of you ask about that. And when we look at the grills on both, big difference in placement and overall design and size, as you're going to have the classic Honda look over here. I think it looks good. It looks nice and sporty, but when it comes to the ADX, again, you look at it on the front end not only because of the dead giveaway of the logo, but also the design of the grille. It definitely has a little bit more of, I'll say, a sophisticated look, and I don't say that to put Honda down, but that's just the way I see it. Both look nice, but a big difference will definitely be with the look of the hood. And you'll see that we have this large section right here in the center on the HRV, but you're going to have this line right here that I think does a nice job of really separating things out and just giving it some better lines. That's my thought on the matter. As far as your side view mirrors go, those are going to look basically the same. Depending on trim level with the HRV, you can have turn signal indicators built in. Turn signal indicators built in here also with the ADX. Now, one thing you won't find with the HRV, regardless of trim level, even if you go with the EXL, is that they're going to have manually folding side view mirrors. Now, they are power adjustable on all models, and here are the turn signal indicators on this model. You have those turned on right there. Heated power adjustable side view mirrors with blind spot monitoring built in with both models. On the rear, we're going to find the LED tail lights, matching up with what we saw with the daytime running lights on the ADX, and very tastefully done tail lights as well on the HRV, although they have quite a different look to them, but I think both are nice. One of the big differences here is going to be the fact that you have the singular exhaust outlet on the HRV. When we pan over here to the ADX, we see the dual exhaust. And that one thing I definitely want you to see, the button right here, that is what's going to allow you to fold those side view mirrors in when you're sitting in the interior of the ADX. I know that's something a lot of you would like to see on the HRV, maybe sometime in the future. When it comes to what's under the hood, the HRV will feature a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that puts out 158 horsepower and 138 pounds-feet of torque. Now, there is a difference here if you want more horsepower. You'll have to go with the ADX. Now, it has another 4-cylinder engine, but it is a turbocharged 1.5-liter that puts out 190 horsepower and 179 pounds-feet of torque. Both models are mated to a CVT. I know it's hard to see, but you have 26 miles per gallon city, 32 highway, 28 combined, and 3.6 gallons of gas for every 100 miles driven with the HRV. With the ADX, we're looking at 25 miles per gallon city, 30 highway, 27 combined, and 3.7 gallons of gas per every 100 miles driven. Both models have the same 14-gallon gas tank. Another difference between the two: the manually opening tailgate right here. Not a big deal with the HRV. It's dampened, so you lift it just a little bit and it opens the rest of the way on its own. However, if you're looking for the hands-free functionality, the ADX offers that. very easy to deal with. Something else that should be good news is that you can check off the box on each model for having a spare tire. And you're looking at 24.4 to 55.1 cubic feet with the HRV when it comes to cargo capacity. Now this model does not have a sunroof. If it did, it would be a conventional size sunroof. The ADX has 23.2 to 53.9 cubic feet worth of cargo space. This cargo cover is removable, by the way, and you can lower the seats, the seat backs, to maximize your cargo space on both models. You'll find the same LED cargo lighting and a 12-volt power outlet. Here with the ADX, we're going to find the same thing over here on the HRV. So some of the same features back here as far as that goes. In fact, let me do one more thing, just because I know somebody is likely to ask if I don't do this. There is the spare tire on the HRV, and we'll go over here to the ADX and lift that up. Sorry about the noises. There's the spare tire here on the Acura as well. Here's a feature that the HRV does not offer. It has to do with this button. I'm going to push that button right there, and you heard it beep. It's called the walk away feature. And what that does, let's say I'm back here gathering up all my groceries or whatever I bought while I was out and about, and I don't want to have to close the tailgate with the remote or whatever I don't want to do. I just want to walk away and have it closed. That's what this feature is. So notice I stood there for quite a few seconds, and even after I walked out from underneath that area, it closed automatically. Very nice feature. Now there are some Hondas that have that feature, but the HRV is not one of them at this point. A very common question I receive in my videos has to do with whether or not the seat backs recline in a lot of these SUVs that I show you. In the case of both models, they have some recline built into them, but neither can be adjusted. But the back seat area is rather spacious for being a smaller SUV. Now here on the Sport trim level, and unfortunately I can't get identical trim levels just based on what's available in inventory, plus the HRV simply doesn't have some of the features that the ADX offers. But we don't have any air conditioning vents or USB ports on this particular model, but plenty of space, comfortable armrest, and you have the door bin. And there is the panoramic sunroof I mentioned earlier. That front portion will tilt and slide open, and you have your power shade that can be drawn back and forth depending on what you want. The HRV has a black interior, but if you want something that's maybe a little more flashy, if you want to put it that way, you have the red interior here with the ADX. We're going to hop inside. This is the A-Spec Advanced trim level, by the way, in case you were wondering. And here are your air conditioning vents and USB ports, something that I know a lot of people are after. And you will also find the fold-out armrest with the cup holders built in, and the same basic design for the door panels with the size of the armrest and the door bin. Something not found in the back seat of the HRV, no fold-down armrest. Here are the remotes for each model. The same basic features, just a different look. With the Honda HRV, you're going to have lock, unlock, remote start, and you have the panic button right there. Now you have remote start, except it's called engine hold right here on the ADX remote, or key fob as some people like to call it. Lock, unlock, and you can open and close your power tailgate, and there is your panic button for the Acura. If you're looking at the HRV Sport, you're looking at $29,350. Both the driver and the passenger seats are manually adjustable. The passenger seat does not raise or lower, but you can adjust the position, sliding it back and forth, and the seat back position. And also, you will find heated seats for the driver and the passenger. You will find basically the same amount of space with the glove box on each model. And over here with the HRV, you can see all of your controls and switches on the door panel for the driver's side. You'll have the manually adjustable steering wheel. It's tilt and telescopically adjustable. You can drop that lever. And here is everything with your driver's display. Pretty simple, very nice, I'd say. It has a nice modern look to it. Your steering wheel mounted controls, adaptive cruise control. You can adjust the volume and the radio for the radio right here, as well as your stations or whatever you're listening to, voice commands. Everything is going to be here. In this particular case, we're going to have the 7-inch touchscreen. Pretty simple, but yet very effective. You can go with the 9-inch on the HRV too. If that's something you want, that flickering effect is not really happening. You can go through quite a few settings here and obviously pair your smartphone. You have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto here. So I'm going to go into reverse, and there is the backup camera. We do have 3 different views, the multi-view rear view camera for the HRV. You've got your controls here for volume and again stations. Now in this case we have single zone climate control. A lot of that's going to vary depending on trim level, and this model does not have a wireless charging pad. If it did, that's where it would be. And you have your USB port. The good thing is that neither model has a push button shifter. That seems to be something that is very unpopular with the majority of potential buyers. Drive modes. Let's see what we have with the HRV. You're going to have normal, Econ, and snow. Now you'll also have sport mode. You'll go into that down here with the shifter. You can see D, and then the S behind that. The L is low. That keeps the transmission in low gear, but you still have all of the power and torque available. That way in low traction situations, everything's much easier to deal with. Power parking brake, brake hold mode. And here is the center console. That lid does double as an armrest, although I wish it was a little further forward. It just seems like it would be more comfortable. That depends on where your seat is set. No sunglass holder here, but here is your upper console. Tell me down in the comment section, I'm always curious to get your feedback. How important is having a sunglass holder in your vehicle? One more thing I wanted to show as a comparison is what happens when you get into each model, what you see and what you hear. If you're looking for something that's maybe a little bit more than what we saw in the Honda, let's hop into the ADX. I didn't want to interrupt right there, but I wanted you to see and hear what goes on. In the case of the ADX, we do have a power adjustable passenger seat, but there are 2 things it does not have where that's concerned, and that's going to be, number 1, the ability to raise and lower the height of the seat, and it does not have lumbar support. Both models will have large armrest and door bins for the driver and the passenger sides, and here's the glove box on the ADX. And you already saw some of what's over here on the driver's side door. We'll also have some of the same features here with the buttons. One thing that is a little bit of a surprise here for me is that you still have the manually adjustable steering wheel. It's not power adjustable, but maybe not a big deal for most people. But there are some big differences when it comes to the overall look of the driver's display. A few things here. Number 1, it's going to be a little bit more of a modern look, and when you turn the headlights on, you're going to see the headlights come on down there on the likeness of the ADX that's down there on the center of the screen. When you put your foot on the brake lights come on, and the turn signals even come on, just to let you know everything's on, I guess. Kind of an interesting thing, but that is going to be there. Steering wheel mounted controls, everything basically the same here when it comes to what we have with the Acura. But something that's going to be different, this is the 9-inch screen. It has a different look than what the HRV has, and it has some features as well that are different. Now this is going to be wireless as far as pairing your phone. Again, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto will be here. And we can go in here into general settings or vehicle settings. Obviously, the differences between the 7-inch and the 9-inch on the HRV are going to be somewhat similar to some of the features that we have here, just a little bit of a different look to a degree. Maybe not so much in this area, but one thing that is different, I told you earlier that both have a conventional style shifter, but there is no trim level of the HRV that has this button. And what does that do? That brings up our cameras. I like what we have here with the overhead 360-degree view, and there are multiple views depending on what you need to or want to see. We'll also bring up the rear view camera. You'll notice that was the front view, something that is not available on the HRV. So if you're looking for those cameras, there they are. And something else, you not only have heated seats, you also have ventilated seats. I actually had somebody who believed I was lying to them in my first ever ADX video that I did quite a while back. In fact, let's see. I don't know if you can hear that. Can you tell the difference? Let it come back on. That is how loud that ventilated seat is, at least on the highest stage. And we have dual zone climate control on this model, but again, we have to consider trim level with some of those features. You'll have your wireless charging pad right here, and also your connectivity with USB and another 12-volt power outlet right there. There's your cup holder and another cup holder back here. And our driving modes, how about that? Now, there's a little bit of a difference here where that's concerned. Let's go through some of those. Now, you can see this on the center screen. You have normal, comfort, you're going to have snow. And we go all the way back up here. You saw it already. Sport mode. And then you saw the button right there that says individual. You can go into individual mode and customize quite a few features as far as that goes. Let me see if I can make that work for me. There we go. And there is one thing here that you didn't see on the Honda, which is the auto stop start feature. You can turn that off if you want to, and there are different ways that that will stay off. If you have the air set to low or high, it will automatically not happen. You can also go into your individual mode and turn that off. You're still gonna have to go in and do something to make it happen. It'd be nice if we could just do away with that for those who don't want it and permanently disable it, but that's just the way it is. And we're gonna still have the same amount of space here within the center console. And again, that lid doubles as an armrest. But a big difference, for those of you who are fans of sunglass holders, you will find that here with the ADX, and here are the rest of the controls. A little bit of a different look here, obviously, because you have a sunroof that we didn't have, at least on the HRV model that we're looking at in today's video. And just because I know somebody is likely to question whether or not the HRV has the idle stop or auto stop start feature, notice there is no button at all here for that. It's not on any trim level of this current generation of the HRV. You can also see it's not located over here on the left-hand side of the dash area. We'll start our test drives out with the HRV. Now, there's no need to really say this, but you obviously have a big difference in horsepower and torque. Maybe not a big difference, but it's going to be somewhat noticeable. It will be interesting to see what happens. I'm starting with the lesser of the two just so that I can maybe do a little bit better job of comparing each one as far as the driving experience goes. Now, the ride quality here with the HRV is not bad. It may not be butter smooth like a Cadillac or something like that, but it's not too bad. Now, I'm going to get on up to the speed limit, which is 45 miles per hour in this area, and we'll see what happens. The seats themselves, I will expect that with the cloth seats here, you're probably going to find a better experience as far as a long drive, multiple hours with the ADX. Those seats just seem to be a little bit more comfortable than these. And it will be also be interesting to find out what the difference may be in road noise between the two. Although, let's listen. In my personal opinion, the road noise is not terrible here in the Honda. Now, there are going to be some differences as far as the overall look and feel of the infotainment screens, but again, if we went with a 9-inch screen that is available with the HRV, depending on the trim level you buy, you can get the 9-inch as opposed to the 7-inch. Very easy to use, very easy to navigate, just a different look compared to what the ADX has. Easy to see out of. Both models are equally as easy to see out of. I can tell you that from having already driven an ADX in a previous video. And while there's a lot of people out there that say that 158 horsepower coming from the HRV is not enough, it does seem to be able to get down the road with no problems, but obviously that's going to depend on a few things: where you're driving, what the speed limit is. It might take a little bit longer to get up to speed than it would with a little bit more power and torque under the hood. Okay, let's switch over to the ADX and see what the differences are. In fact, let me clean the windshield off for you real quick. Very comfortable, I have to say. Just as I said earlier, and as I suspected, the ride quality is good with both, but the big difference is going to be how comfortable the seats are. And let's listen for a few seconds. Maybe it's just me, but I would have to say the ADX also seems to be a little more quiet. Maybe a small difference, maybe no difference. I don't know, it just depends. You have to keep in mind, I have what I call drag racer's ear from years of driving race cars without using earplugs. Not the wisest thing to do, but some of you may have better hearing than I do. But overall, I have to say, if I was going to choose one or the other, because you have more horsepower, because of the camera views, because the available ventilated seats are here, I would go with the ADX. Both models have their strong points. And as is the case with any vehicle, there are pros and cons to both models. But I would definitely have to choose the ADX if it was me. Now, you're going to have the additional horsepower here that's going to make it a little bit easier to get down the road. So if you're looking for that extra horsepower, while it's not a massive difference, you definitely will find more power here under the hood. And if you didn't see that part of the video earlier when I talked about the difference between the two, 158 horsepower with the Honda. When you hop in here into the Acura ADX, you're looking at 190 horsepower. Also, while you can have a sunroof with the Honda, it's only a conventional size. Now, there's a lot of people out there that would love to have their panoramic sunroof. That's just depending on the individual. For me, I'm really not worried about it either way. Personally, I prefer no sunroof at all in my vehicles because I don't ever use it if I have one. Technology is going to look different, but like I said, again, it's easy to learn, easy to use no matter which model you go with. Although I do like that this model has, with a 9-inch screen, it's going to have a little bit more of a modern look to it, even when compared to the 9-inch screen with the HRV, although both are really good. And there we go, the 2025 Honda HRV and 2025 Acura ADX. Which one is better for you, and tell me why? I'm always curious to know. As I mentioned earlier in the video, there's a lot of features and functionality you can get here on the ADX that I know a lot of you have asked for when it comes to the HRV. It does cost a little bit more, but it's not so much that I think it's out of reach for a lot of people, but I'm always curious to receive your feedback. I'd like to say a special thanks to Holmes Honda and or Acura for loaning me these two models for the day so I could tell you all about them. And a special thanks to all of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the like button. That's very helpful to me. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. And if you would, please share this video on your timelines on social media so other people can see it. If you'd like to learn about additional vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.